My heart was racing. This couldn't be happening. This gorgeous man could not be my mate. I already had a mate. Scott was my mate. I looked over at him in complete shock, and he was absolutely stunning. He towered over me. I literally only came up to his shoulder, and he was very muscular and wide-set. His brown, wavy, shoulder-length hair was pulled back into a ponytail at the back of his head, and his eyes were dark green with hints of silver specks. I'd never seen anything like them. He was dressed very elegantly in a jacket-less suit that fitted him perfectly, but he'd rolled up the sleeves to his elbows and undone a few of the top buttons to reveal a light layering of chest hair and a second tattoo that I couldn't make out properly. His other tattoo was on his throat on the opposite side of his marking area. My mouth was literally drooling as I stared at him, but when he looked back at me, I blushed and looked down at my feet. I couldn't be so stupid to think that this man wanted me. Scott was only half as attractive and half as powerful as this man felt, and he didn't want me unless it was to be his SX slave. Why would this stranger want me? "Are you all right?" he asked and shoved Scott away, causing him to fall on his bottom with a loud thud before the man took my hand to examine my arm. A soft tingling erupted over my skin at his contact, and I found myself stepping closer to him as if an invisible rope was pulling me in. "I am fine. Thank you for helping me." "Always," he said gently. "I'm Jackson, although I prefer Jax." "What's your name?" "Darling, there you are." A gorgeous woman approached us before I could answer, and my heart sank. He already had someone, and she was exquisite. She had long, wavy black hair that flowed down her backless silver dress that fell to her ankles, and she was wearing a very beautiful-looking tiara. She looked older than my new mate, but perhaps he preferred mature women. I felt a rush of jealousy and quickly pulled out of Jackson's grip and looked at my feet. "I have been looking for you." The woman continued as she reached us, but then she noticed Scott on the ground. "What is going on here?" "That is exactly what I want to know." The angry voice of my alpha called out behind me, and I tensed nervously. My actions didn't go unnoticed by the man beside me, and he frowned before looking back at my alpha. "Scott, what the hell happened?" Alpha Troy shouted. "Get up!" "Why are you on the ground?" "He shoved me." Scott pointed at my mate. "Why?" The women frowned at him. "He grabbed my mate," Jax answered, and everyone froze for a second before staring at me. "Your what?" the woman gasped. "Oh my gosh, sweetheart, that is wonderful. Where is your father? We have to tell him." "Father? So, this woman wasn't my mate's girlfriend, she was his mother?" "And your brother?" the woman went on as she looked me over. "Have you told him?" "They might be mates too." "I don't understand." I frowned at them, and Jackson smiled the most breathtaking smile. "I'm a twin." He told me happily. "We've always shared everything, so we figured we'd also share a mate. I linked him when I first saw you across the room, but I didn't tell him why. I just said I had a surprise, he should be here soon." He began to look around the room of guests, some of whom were looking at us and listening to our conversation. "He will be so excited to meet his mate. I know I am." "She isn't his mate!" Scott shouted and got to his feet. "Or yours! She is my mate!" I glared at him. How dare he? "I am not your mate!" I shouted back. It was the first time I'd ever so much as raised my voice at him, and he stepped back in surprise. "I rejected you!" "What?" Alpha Troy growled at me, and I looked down. "You ungrateful bitch!" My new mate growled and pulled me behind him so fast I lost my breath. But just as fast as he'd moved me, his mother stepped in between her son and Alpha Troy. "Don't even think about it," she warned him with a stern glare. "There are hundreds of guests here this evening. You will not make a scene." "He called my mate a bitch," he argued through a clenched jaw as his claws came out, and his body began to shake. "You can't just expect me to let that go." "Stand down immediately," the women said firmly, and my mate growled and stepped back, glaring at my alpha. "Did he accept your rejection?" Alpha Troy asked as his wife, my Luna, came walking over with Sky. "Is that why both of you have been sick today? Because you rejected him?" "Yes," I answered. He accepted, and yes, it's why we've been sick. You stupid bastard, Alpha Troy shouted at his son and shoved him. Do you have any idea what you've done, what you've just lost me? Take it back now. Lost him? What was he talking about? Was he angry I could no longer be used for my powers? I had a few gifts that had developed as a child, and it was very rare for werewolves to have powers unless they came from an alpha line. I'd only ever heard of Lycans having abilities without being from an alpha bloodline. Alpha Troy was thrilled when mine developed, however, and he liked to use me for them as often as he could. I didn't fully reject her. Scott pointed out, I said I'd keep her as my mistress. She should have. You're what? My new mate shouted, and Scott stepped closer to his father. Jackson, enough, his mother said firmly before turning to Scott. Whatever designs you had for the young lady are no longer relevant. She belongs to my son now. Like hell. Alpha Troy stepped in. She is Scott's mate. She will be coming back with us. He is not having her, Jackson said angrily and growled. She is mine, and I will rip his throat out if he even tries to take her from me. Who? Sky asked in disgust. You can't be talking about Wolfless. What is going on, Daddy? Wolfless? My mate turned to me in confusion. I hesitated nervously. I didn't shift at 16 like everyone else. I didn't get my wolf until I was 18. Of course you didn't, the woman said as she looked down at me with a confused expression. Lycans don't shift until they're 18. Lycan? I frowned. I'm not a Lycan. Of course you are. My new mate responded. I can smell it. What made you think you were one of them? What? I frowned again and turned to my alpha. You said I was just a big wolf. So what? He spat back. Why would you lie to her about that? The woman asked. Where are her parents? They abandoned her. Sky said smugly and crossed her arms. They didn't want her. No one does. I do. Jackson surprised me. You do? I stuttered. Jackson turned back to me in surprise. Of course I do. You're beautiful. He smiled and touched my face. I have been waiting for you for so long. There is no way I'd ever reject you. She isn't yours to reject, Scott shouted. She is mine. You had your chance, Mutt. Jackson's tone changed, and I felt a wave of power fill the air around him. Was he an alpha too? He had to be. He felt so powerful. She is mine now, and even if she had accepted you, she'd still be mine because I would have simply killed you to get to her. Hell. I still might, so watch your damn tone. Your Majesty, please, you cannot allow this, Luna Morgan pleaded. Did she just say, Your Majesty? I looked at the woman next to my mate and stared at her in shock. Scott was foolish to accept her rejection. Morgan went on as my heart raced. If she was the queen, then my new mate was. He was the next in line for the throne. I don't know why he would in the first place, because I know he loves her. I don't give a shit if he loves her. Jackson snapped and stepped closer to me again. She is mine. I will not say it again, and appealing to my mother won't do your pathetic son any good. Not even the queen will take my mate from me. No disrespect, mother. He added and looked at her quickly. Yes, well, his mother glared at him. Are you really the queen? I asked nervously. I am, dear, she smiled. So that means you are one of the twin princes? I asked with wide, nervous eyes. And the future king? Please don't let that intimidate you. Jack said quickly and tried to touch my face, but I stepped back and shook my head. I know it's a lot, but I can't be a queen. I interrupted him, and Jax looked at me with pain in his eyes. I'm just a maid, and I wouldn't know the first thing about the ruling. Seems she doesn't want you either. Sky commented, So ungrateful, but at least she knows her place. A maid has no business being our future queen. Girl, you say one more word, and I will rip your throat out. Jax threatened, and Sky looked completely lost. No one ever shut her down. And her place is by my side, and please don't worry about our titles, just... Before he could finish, I smelt another incredible scent on the wind, and I felt my heart race again, just like it did when I'd smelt Jackson's scent. His scent, however, wasn't sweet like Jackson was. He smelt more wild, like the woods and flowers, but it was equally as amazing to me. I turned to see a man walking towards us quickly as he scanned the room. He had a shaved undercut with short black hair over the top that was brushed back neatly and several tattoos down his neck, though there was a large round space left clear in his marking area. He wasn't in a suit like Jack's. Instead, he was in dark blue slacks and a loose white top and black jacket. I couldn't look away from his handsome face and just as gorgeous green eyes that matched Jackson. Jax. He shouted as he ran over to us and interrupted Jackson mid-sentence. Can you smell that? I've never smelt anything so damn incredible in my entire life, he said as he grabbed Jax by his shoulders and shook him. Flynn thinks our mate's here somewhere, but I can't pinpoint her. Her damn scent is all over the place. We have to find her. Come on, help me look. Why the hell are you just standing here? If I can smell her, then you should be able to. We have to track her down and... Jax laughed gently and grabbed his brother's chin and turned his head towards me. Find her. The man finished talking, but then his mouth fell open as he stared at me. Told you I had a surprise, Jax said happily as his brother looked at me with wide eyes. I was extremely nervous. What if he didn't like me? My heart was beating out of my chest as he took a slow step towards me and cupped my face in his hands. Shh. He gasped and looked down into my eyes. You really are our mate. I can feel it, and my goddess, you're perfect. Where the hell have you been, baby? We've been waiting for you for so long. Before I could even get a word out, he pulled my face up and kissed me passionately. I gasped into his mouth. I'd only ever been kissed by Scott, and it made me feel sick to my stomach. But this was amazing. His lips were so soft but firm, and each movement forced my own lips to move in unison. My heart was going wild, and my stomach was doing backflips, but there was also another feeling, a foreign feeling, a kind of tingling that made me warm between my legs. Hey! Jax shouted playfully and pulled his brother back. What? The man snapped and pulled away from his brother. You've had her for ages already. It's my turn. I haven't kissed her yet, Jax complained, and looked at me with jealousy and longing. Don't hog her. What? The man said in confusion. What do you mean you haven't kissed her yet? What the hell were you waiting for? I have been dealing with some other things, damn it, he snapped, but he stepped closer to me. May I? It only fair. I blushed. Why did we have to be surrounded by other people right now? I nodded shyly, and Jax smiled and quickly pulled me in and kissed me. He kissed differently than his brother. He wasn't as forceful, he was gentle and slow building, but it was just as incredible. Okay, enough. The other man complained, causing us to break apart, and Jax laughed. So, what's your name? The man asked. I'm Coda, but everyone calls me Cody, and my Lycan is Flynn. Shh, right. Jax laughed. I still don't know your name, and my Lycan is Nox. What's your Lycan's name?